The concept of food addiction is also complicated. How does food addiction differ from overeating?
Ultra-processed foods have been linked to decreasing mood and depression and anxiety.
We want to teach people how to learn to be around food.
Life is hard, it's short, you deserve a treat. But is food really a treat?
Is it cravings? Is it habits? Are you being triggered? Or is it something more? Today we're talking food addiction with Sandra Elia. She is the author of the book Never Enough. She is also the founder of the Food Addiction Recovery Program. And we're going to get into it here because for so many, weight loss is so much more than what you are eating and when. So much more than managing your stress and trying to get a better sleep and moving your body. It has to do with what's happening in your brain, your thoughts, how you are feeling, your relationship with self, your relationship with others, and your relationship with food, which can feel really overwhelming. So to help us navigate and walk us through is Sandra Elia. Hello. Hi.
Hello, Happy New Year, everybody. I hope everyone had an amazing holiday. I know it seems like a distant past, but we're almost into February.
First, I think we need a bit of an introduction because I know you joined us in our last program. We had some amazing conversations, but we have so many new members joining us. So maybe just a little bit about yourself, your passion for this topic of conversation.
For sure. So I'm a certified food addiction counselor. I created Canada's only outpatient program that runs in medical clinics across Canada. I also helped to create the first inpatient program here in Renascent in Toronto. So that's a treatment center that's been open since the 1970s, treating drugs and alcohol addiction, but they open their doors to food addicts. And I wrote that program and I executed it. But what really qualifies me for this work is that I am a recovering food addict. In my 20s, I lived with over 100 pounds of extra weight. And I wish I could tell you that my eating and my weight were my only problems. But as a lot of people probably know, it really affects and almost devastates every area of our lives, right? There's almost not an area, especially if you're living with obesity or food addiction or both. It affects our relationships. It affects our health. It affects our careers. Sometimes we don't know how bad we feel until we get on to the other side. And we sometimes don't realize how small our lives become until we get over to the other side.
You know, we talk about this all the time that weight loss is complicated for a lot of reasons, but also because of the way our relationship with food, the way we utilize food. We use food to show love, some people's love language. We use food to celebrate when times are great. We use it to bond over. We use it to cope when we're sad, and we use it to distract, and we use it because some people just really enjoy it. They enjoy making it. They enjoy eating it. So it's very complicated because it's not like that's going to stop happening. Food is the one thing that we need in order to survive. And I think this is where the food addiction, the concept of food addiction is also complicated because you look at something like drugs or alcohol. When you have them, you know, there is that true addiction where I don't think food addiction gets the same notoriety for lack of or respect, because it is something that we need to eat to survive, which makes it even more difficult to reconcile your relationship with it.
You know, you said so much. I don't know where to start. I love that you said use food, because that's a very interesting concept, especially in addiction, right? I feel like I had two ways of eating. I either ate to nourish my body or I used food. And I used food in a very different way. I used food to obliterate pain. I used food to numb out. I used food to escape, for comfort. So there's that really important distinction. Am I using food to alter my state, or am I consuming food for a variety of reasons, like celebration and energy and all of that? And whenever I give a talk, that's the first question people say: Sandra, we can't be addicted to food. We need food to survive. And I said, really? Okay, so we need Doritos to survive, right? That's not food. And it's tricky because Doritos look like food, but when you turn over the package and the ingredient list is the size of my face, that is more chemical and more drug than food. So you're right. The food addiction is not the right term, and we're working on it. I'm part of the Food Addiction Institute. We're working on what is the right name for this, because most people aren't addicted to real whole foods because they react in our bodies in real and natural ways. We get satiated. We are addicted to these chemical concoctions that have been put together in a certain way to overwhelm our reward system. And for some of us, then we become addicted. Not everyone, but for some of us, we do.
But let's say someone is doing the program and they're eating all this good nutrient rich foods. They've eaten all this nutrient rich food all day long. And then the evening hits and they feel this need to snack. Now, I tell people, make sure you are making your food choices nutrient rich. Make sure you're not skipping meals and snacks. Make sure that you are eating enough to feel satisfied in the moment. But what do people do about that? What is that? Is that a trigger? Is that a habit? Why is it so difficult for people to break that?
So first of all, I want to normalize this in that anybody who's ever struggled with their relationship with food or their weight, nighttime eating is a problem for everybody. This is not uncommon. So I am very familiar with your meal plan. I've done your meal plan. It's excellent. It reminds me very to what we used to do at Renaissance, which was an inpatient treatment. We made people eat nutrient-rich foods. We would weigh and measure. Oftentimes the clients would say, this is too much food, because remember, they moved into the treatment center for 28 days. This is too much. I can't even eat all this food. And then they would say at night, I want something. I'm craving. And the reason is those nutrient-rich foods didn't give them the buzz. It didn't light up their brain. They weren't experiencing the dopamine and the serotonin that those ultra-processed foods. So even though their body was absolutely satisfied, they were not, if you said to them, here, have some apples, we'll give you some more salad. They're like, no, I know what I want. And it is a tantalization of the brain. It's the comforts, the ease that comes over you.
This is a great kind of explanation for people when it comes to how our food is being created to be addicting, is that you have a hard time just eating one chip, but you won't eat like 50 apples. You won't overeat broccoli. You won't even overeat steak or chicken. How does food addiction differ from overeating?
One hallmark of addiction is if your eating is causing you consequences in your life, like if you're suffering physically, so that could be being pre-diabetic, loss of mobility, hypertension, fatty liver. If your eating is causing your mental health to decline, your mood, depression, anxiety, and I'll tell you, ultra processed foods have been linked to decreasing mood and depression and anxiety, and you're starting to pay that spiritual price. And the spiritual price is, I think I'm a loser. Like, I don't know what's wrong with me. The bigger I get, the less I feel that I'm worthy. But you can't stop. The other big hallmark is going through withdrawal. So trying to stop. And this is how addictive sugar is. Anybody, whether you have a weight problem or not, who tries to go cold turkey on sugar, like really do like the no sugar challenge, goes through withdrawal. So that's headache, irritability, sleep disturbance, like a whole mishmash. And then what happens is our brain tricks us and says, you know what, just have a little, and this withdrawal, this pain that you're experiencing is going to go away. So I've identified 3 thinking traps when it comes to addictive eating. The first one is, I deserve a treat. And the answer always is absolutely, you do deserve a treat. You are a beautiful human. Life is hard. It's short. You deserve a treat. But is food really a treat? Here's the test. A treat should leave you feeling better than before you had it. I want you to be really conscious the next time you have a treat. And when you swallow the last bite, what happens afterwards? So if you have that sharp decline of, I'm upset, I'm angry at myself, I feel bloated, I feel sick, I feel like I've ignited my cravings. Now I want to know what's next. I've blown it. Might as well go to town. I'll start over tomorrow. That's the whole story. Does that actually sound like a treat? No. When we compare it to other things, so what we know through research is that people who struggle with their weight or or obesity lack self-soothing techniques. The day that you start using food to soothe is the day you stop emotionally maturing in a way.
I like what you said. When you swallow that last piece, then pay attention to what's going on in your brain. What's your thought? Do you immediately start ragging on yourself and then punishing yourself? And then also when you recognize that you do that, every time you are back in that situation, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, I do this because of that. Or you're recognizing that that's not going to give you what you want. Now, you may continue that behavior, a few more times. But that awareness piece is huge because that gives you a fighting chance of like rewiring your brain and stopping it being like, okay, whoa, wait a minute. Every time this happens, I do this. Or when I have this, this is actually not a treat. But that's a process. This is not something that you can figure out overnight.
No, because also that compulsive eating wasn't something you started overnight. It wasn't like one day you decided every single night at 8 o'clock, I need something. That happened over time. So I love what you said about retraining the brain, because I want everybody to know if nighttime eating is a problem for you, your plan cannot be just stop. I just got to stop. That's my plan. That's not a plan, right? That's actually a way of shaming someone. You just need to stop. Our lives are actually made up of rituals and routines. Most of them are unconscious. So I want you to understand that nighttime eating could actually just be a ritual that you do, and you haven't done it once or twice. You've done it hundreds of times over many years, and your brain is primed for that. So to say to your brain, hey, listen, tonight we're changing this routine that you've always done is really tough. A great craving buster is connection. A lot of us are lonely, right? That's the World Health Organization has come out today that loneliness is a threat to health, that being lonely can be as dangerous as smoking. So where can you build in connection? And here's the deal. You have to build in that connection early in the day when that frontal lobe is still working, when you have the energy, when you're hopeful about your day, not at 8 o'clock at night when you're like, I'm craving, I should reach out. Have connection, whether it's FaceTimes or phone calls or walks, but somebody that you connect with, someone that feeds your soul.
Do you believe in out of sight, out of mind? I'm not big on avoidance, right? We want to teach people how to learn to be around food. I mean, the end game is lose your weight, yes, but be calm around food physically, mentally. There's a lot of work for for a lot of people.
If you have a vulnerability and it is in your cupboard, there's no chance. There's literally no chance. That's like leaving alcoholism treatment and going home to a house with a stocked bar, right? That's crazy. That's asking for trouble, for relapse. Now, will this person, obviously they're going to go to parties. They have to go to parties. They want to go to parties. They might even meet people at bars and restaurants. But in your vulnerable moment, if it's there, you're going to have it. Well, let's talk about mental real estate. How much of your mind is thinking, where am I going to eat? When am I going to eat? How much should I eat? Did I eat too much? Should I skip dinner? Which I never used to do, but I would tell myself that lie. I'll have a big lunch and I'll skip dinner. Did I have too little? Can I have seconds? Can I have thirds? Is anyone going to see? Will there be leftovers? Can I hide some? How much mental real estate? I'm telling you, I could have run the world if I took all that mental real estate and applied it to my dreams and applied it to my work.
This is a big conversation with all of the new GLP-1s and the weight loss medications. And one of the things that they do is to help calm that food noise for a lot of people so that they can actually get a handle and on their hunger and start creating these new habits. It's a game changer for people. And if you're listening today and you're like, oh my goodness, I'm never going to lose weight because I have this food noise. I'm never going to lose weight because I'm addicted to food. That's not the conversation here. There's absolutely hope for you. And this is what we do here. We do here.
So I always tell people you need a village of support. The more interventions you have, the better. And that's what the Gina Libby program has done for you. You've curated the village of support, right? And that village has to include a meal plan, which is baked in, has to include community baked in. The better the village, the more likely the success. Yeah. And the GLP-1s can be part of that village. But here's the deal. Whether you take a GLP-1, whether you have bariatric surgery, the road is the same for everyone. There is no road that does not include that village. It's not like we can take these GLP-1s and then eat factory-made foods that are nutrient poor that cause diseases. If you need help, right, it would be no different than if someone in your program needed an antidepressant. They should absolutely take that so that they can show up and walk this road.
Changes so much more than the medications you take. Just like if you take diabetes medication, thyroid medication, blood pressure medication, there's still things that you need to do. And when it comes to weight loss, having gastric, taking medications, that doesn't do anything for you showing up for yourself and doing the things that you need to do, for believing that you are worthy, for reconciling your relationship with food, with yourself, to create new habits in your life, to not be triggered, to work through past trauma. This is what you are doing here. I've created the formula, the algorithm for sustainable weight loss, bringing in experts like Sandra who are spending their time knowing exactly what you are doing and giving you the information to help you. Well, people can get more of you. People can get more of you. So you do a course that actually helps people. Great compliment to the program. We're not associated. This is what Sandra does on her own. So I don't benefit from promoting what Sandra is doing. But beyond your book, Never Enough, that people can pick up on Amazon, you also have a course that people can sign up for.
Yeah, so this outpatient program that I have that runs in medical clinics in British Columbia and in Southern Ontario in some clinics, I went to studio and I recorded all of those sessions because I want them available to everybody across North America, across the world. Actually, I just had somebody join from Australia the other day, and your community is beautiful. Yeah. They are the most beautiful souls, and they're there to work, and you really have enabled them to understand how to focus, how to work, how to follow. It's like, wow.
Well, because what we're doing here is the foundation of change.
Yeah.
It's the foundation of change. And so people are so far ahead. And this is the takeaway. I want everyone to understand, and I know I said this yesterday, that you are doing enough just by showing up and following the food plan. And maybe you are not ready to dive into that mental piece and that mental part or tackle food addictions. That's okay. That's okay, right? Just focus on what you can focus on, little and often. Sandra, thank you so much. She's going to be back with us in the next month and a bit. So we're going to continue the conversation. Thank you.
Wonderful. Bye, everybody.